Greetings and salutations. It is I, Mr. Nothing, the museum curator of the weird and the strange and the host who might be a ghost. Welcome back to Around the Weird, a booktube channel where I focus on all manner of strange and unusual literature that I have found in my travels. It is Short Story Tuesday, so I wanted to focus on a story that I have loved for a while, ever since the first time I read it. It's a classic. It has permeated popular culture in a number of ways, and it's about one man hunting another man for sport. I am, of course, talking about The Most Dangerous Game by Richard Connell. Uh, does it hold up as much as the first time that I read it? Is there any criticism that I might offer towards it? Let's find out. So, The Most Dangerous Game focuses on Sanger Rainsford, a man with a wonderful name, very old-timey. He is on a boat with his friend Whitney. They are going on a hunt. Unfortunately, as they are passing an island, Sanger falls over the deck into the water, and he's unable to reach the boat, so he goes to the shore, where he hears some gunshots and also hears strange animal-like cries. So he's like, well, there's a hunter, so that means if I find them, I'll be safe. I can have food, water, etc., and they can help me go on my way. So he makes his way towards this sort of jungly part of the island where he finds a manor, in a secluded manor. He knocks on the door. A man named Ivan, a servant, shows up, um, and Ivan shows him towards the master of the house, who identifies himself as General Zaroff. Zaroff is very familiar with his work, with Sanger's work, because they're both hunters, so they become quickly become friendly with one another, and they start talking about their hunts, and it seems like General Zaroff is going to be that friendly helping hand that Sanger is looking for at this time. However, General Zaroff reveals that he's quickly become, what's the word? He's grown tired of hunting regular animals, uh, even animals that threaten his own life. He's not happy about. And Sanger's like, well, what do you do about that? And the general's like, well, I found a new animal to hunt, a totally new type of animal, and he reveals that he has been hunting men on this island. He's been picking off sailors from the shore, or like getting them to crash their boats, and he's been capturing them and forcing them to flee while he hunts them. Uh, and Sanger, is appropriately appalled by this. He's like, "What the hell, man? That's not normal." And Sanger the general attempts to say, "Oh, it's fine. They're no different than any other animal." And Sanger's like, "I got to get the hell out of here. This guy is clearly crazy." So the general's like, "I can't let you do that. I've decided now to hunt you. You're a hunter. You will provide a veritable challenge." Yeah. So he's looking. He realizes that Sanger might provide him with the thrill that he's looking for. So he releases them, and Sanger immediately runs away. Tries to climb a tree, but the general tracks him down really quickly. But he starts playing, like, toying with him, cat and mouse, so to speak. And he's just like, he walks away, and that gives Sanger a chance to run a little further. He sets up some traps, which wounds the general, forcing him to go back home for the night. And then the next day, the general shows up with Ivan, and some hounds. But because of Sanger's quick thinking, again, he's able to set up traps that kill Ivan and one of the dogs. But unfortunately, the general at this point has him trapped near a cliff, and Sanger, realizing his only real option, jumps off the cliff into the water, where it appears that he has died. And the general notes, he's kind of sad because Sanger refused to play the game, he didn't prove to be a real challenge in the end, which is weird way of thinking about things, I guess. But so the general heads home and he shows up in his bedroom, and there is Sanger waiting for him. He swam home and showed up in his bedroom. Weird phrasing there. Um, and the general's like, "You won the game, congratulations!" And Sanger's like, "The game isn't over, motherfucker." He's like, "The game's not over. I'm still on the hunt," and he basically challenges the general to a duel, which he wins. And the last line notes, um, "And Sanger never slept in a more pleasant bed in his life," something like that. Which means that not only did he kill him, but he went to sleep immediately afterwards, which is all kinds of messed up, which I'll talk about in a moment. So that's The Most Dangerous Game by Richard Connell. There are a couple of notes that I'd like to make regarding some stuff I noticed as I read the themes and whatnot. The first is that Connell, the author, attempts to make a dichotomy between the hunter and the hunted, which I think he tears down throughout the course of the story. In the beginning of the story, Stanger's talking to his friend Whitney, and he notes that Whitney is trying to say that surely the animals they hunt must have feelings. But Stanger notes there's only two types of people in the world: the hunter and the hunted. And that is really put to the test in this story, because according to the General Zaroff, he sort of presents an extreme case of that, where there are only two types of people on this island: the hunter, General Zaroff, and the poor sailors that he hunts. And according to Sanger's philosophy in the beginning, that should be normal. That should be how things go. I should also point out that the backstories of these characters are somewhat important in that aspect. In that Sanger served in World War One, and General Zaroff was a general in Russia before the Communist Revolution happened. And those are both events where the Communist Revolution and World War One, where it was either hunt or be hunted. So I think by presenting that as their backstory, he really draws attention to that kind of weird philosophy of is it okay to think like hunt or be hunted? I think Connell says it's kind of ridiculous to assert that. And it leads to some pretty drastic things happening, such as world wars and violent revolutions where people end up still betraying each other even after the revolution has happened. So I think that's interesting to note there. Another thing that I noticed when I was reading was how easy Sanger goes from totally appalled from wanting to kill to absolutely being okay with it. Because in the beginning, when the general tells him, "I hunt people for sport," he's like, "What the hell, man? That's not right." And he's not he's not wrong. I agree with him there. But over the course of being hunted, he slowly develops that mindset that maybe it's okay to take another human's life. But you might be saying, well, he's being hunted, so maybe it's extenuating circumstances. But that's not the whole case of the whole book, because he jumps off the cliff, and the general believes him to be dead. Right then and there, Sanger can go home. Sanger can flag down some passing ship and be like, "I want off this island." But he doesn't do that. What does he do? He goes right back to the manor, swims his way there, and he kills General Zaroff. And then afterwards, he sleeps peacefully in that man's bed, showing that not only has killing been made okay in his eyes, it's not distressing to him at this point. And maybe that seems really important. But maybe it's something about maybe Richard Connell's trying to say something about hunting in general there. But if you can latch onto that, feel free to do so in the comments. And then the last thing I want to talk about is how Connell sort of makes a comparison, maybe inadvertently, to drug addiction, where to General Zaroff, hunting animals he slowly builds up tolerance to the joy and the thrill of the hunt. Um, at one point, a Cape buffalo kills him, or no, gets close to killing him. Sorry, and he's like, that doesn't bring the same thrill anymore. I want more. I want more. And it slowly gets bigger and bigger and bigger and builds, and eventually it gets to a point where he starts hunting sailors to feel that thrill. And it's a lot of the way it's like drug addiction, where you have to keep taking more and more to get that fix, to get your fix in a lot of ways. Whether that was intentional on Connell's part, and I doubt it. But it seems like an interesting parallel. And following up at the end, like eventually you're going to take so much, you're going to take a bite of a medication or a drug or something, and it's gonna hurt you, because that seems to be how addiction goes a lot of the times. Specifically, in this story, Sanger ends up killing the general. So the drug he took ended up, killing him in the end, which I feel is pretty interesting part of the story. The only thing I didn't really like about the story was how Connell seems to go over three nights of events, 3 nights of events, in just a couple paragraphs. Again, that's the short story for you, but it would be interesting to see more played out story in that regards. So this story has been parodied and told in popular culture over and over again. You have movies like The Pest, The Simpsons, for one. Recently, The Hunt came out, which is an adaptation of it. I have noticed that none of these adaptations are strict adaptations. They always adapt the story in some way, which I feel is not the best, because I want to see a straight adaptation, because this story has a lot of action movie potential, and you could expand upon the themes found in here, which I don't think anyone has really done anytime recently. So that's what I would want out of it. Anyway, those are my thoughts on The Most Dangerous Game. If you have any thoughts to share, if you read it recently or plan to read it, I'll leave a description or leave a comment, or I'll leave a link in the description. Sorry, and you can comment and let me know what you thought of the story. Other than that, I hope you have a pleasant time in your weird travels, and yeah, that'll be that.